Can you imagine what it must have been like the night Christ was born? Can you picture in your mind what events took place when God in the flesh came to earth and heaven and earth became one? Things that the heart cannot even perceive nor eyes believe actually happened in that one small moment in time. Imagine, if you will, all the miracles that took place on that quiet evening when the lowly shepherds watched their sheep and all the creatures were snuggled down for a long, weary night's sleep. How heaven burst forth and showered humanity with the greatest gift it has ever had to offer. On that night, the mighty one that the ancient prophets of old had prophesied would come had finally arrived. A baby was born. The Messiah was here. The one who had been conceived of the Holy Ghost and been born of the Virgin was finally here to dwell among us. All of a sudden, the heavens rejoiced. A single star gravitated from its station in the heavens and came to stand guard and adorn the place of the child's birth. Wise men from the far countries away saw this miraculous event and followed the star to the place where the babe laid. The earth and the sky became the dance floors of the elated angels as they swirled among the stars and sang with joy, peace on earth and goodwill toward men. And they called this holy baby Jesus. His name means Emmanuel, God with us. Being transported from the portals of heaven, Jesus loved humanity so much that he made himself of no reputation and left all the glories of heaven to take on the lowly form of a human. The Bible tells us that Jesus, after being found in the fashion as the Son of Man, grew up to become a servant to us all. He humbled himself unto death, even the death of the cross, in order to bring us salvation and show us the way to God. And it all started on that one glorious night that we now call Christmas. Can you imagine what Mary, his mother, must have felt in those glorious moments after Jesus' birth? There she was, holding her newborn baby in her arms and softly singing her lullabies to the Son of God. Only moments before his birth, those tiny infant feet had walked the avenues of heaven and the universes. Those tiny infant fingers, which now curled around her finger, had made the stars and the planets and placed them meticulously in space. The voice that once spoke the world into existence and made the mountains to tremble was the voice now heard in her infant son's cry. Jesus had once been arrayed in all the glories of heaven, and now his home was a stable, and his clothing were lowly swaddling cloth. As she cradled Jesus in her arms, did she ponder the thought that this baby, whom she had just brought forth from her womb, was indeed the one who had created her? Did she realize that Jesus had known her from heaven before she ever knew him? As Mary gazed into the face of the Son of God, did she realize all the miracles that had just taken place that night? Animals usually have a keen sense of their surroundings, and as heaven and earth rejoiced that night, one can only wonder if the animals of the earth also sensed what was happening. As heaven and nature sang a song of jubilee, did the animals sense something special about the baby who shared their stable and slept in their feeding trough? The heart can only ponder the magnitude of what happened on that first Christmas night. The only thing we know for sure is that a child was born and the world would never be the same again. Join us now and let us use our imaginations as we present a play to you about what the creatures in the stable must have seen and heard on the night that Jesus was born.